I trusted Amanda completely. 3 years together, and I thought we had something real and lasting. We had talked about marriage, kids, the whole future. Then one evening she sat me down for what she called an important conversation. With a strange gleam in her eyes, she said she wanted to open our relationship. It would make us stronger, she insisted, more honest with each other. I was blindsided but agreed, because I loved her. I had no idea she was just looking for permission to cheat. If you are watching this, drop a comment telling me where you are from, and if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted. Hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to show you exactly why you should always read the fine print in any relationship. I met Amanda at my buddy Jake's barbecue in Chicago 3 summers ago. She was laughing with some friends when our eyes met across the yard. Something clicked immediately. We spent the whole evening talking about everything from our favorite hiking trails to our shared love of classic movies. By the end of the night, I knew she was special. Our relationship progressed naturally. We went hiking most weekends, explored small towns outside the city, and spent lazy Sundays watching old films. After 18 months, we decided to move in together. Our apartment was small but perfect for us. We decorated it together, compromising on everything from furniture to wall colors. I thought we were building a life together. We had even started talking about marriage. Nothing formal, just casual conversations about what our wedding might look like, how many kids we might want. I was saving for a ring, planning to propose on our upcoming anniversary trip to Colorado. Jessica entered the picture early in our relationship. She was Amanda's best friend from college, and they were incredibly close. Jessica was everything Amanda was not. Where Amanda was thoughtful and sometimes reserved, Jessica was loud, outgoing, and flirtatious. She always seemed to have this competitive edge with Amanda that I never quite understood. My relationship with Jessica was friendly but distant. We got along at group gatherings and occasional dinners, but I always kept a respectful boundary. There were moments when I caught her looking at me a beat too long or standing slightly too close, but I brushed it off as her naturally flirtatious personality. The first signs of trouble appeared about 6 months ago. Amanda became increasingly distant. She started going out more often with Jessica and their other friends. Girls' nights became a weekly thing, then twice a week. Sometimes she would come home late, smelling like alcohol and cologne. When I asked about it, she would laugh it off, saying I was being paranoid. Despite my growing insecurity, I trusted her. I believed in our relationship and was determined not to be that jealous, controlling boyfriend. So I swallowed my concerns and focused on making her happy when she was home. Then came the conversation that changed everything. It was a Tuesday night. Amanda had been unusually quiet during dinner. After we cleared the plates, she asked me to sit on the couch with her. Her expression was serious, almost rehearsed. Bond. I have been doing a lot of thinking and research lately, she began, her voice steady. I have been reading about open relationships. My stomach dropped. I sat there unable to speak as she continued. So many modern couples are embracing this lifestyle now, she explained, showing me articles on her phone. It allows for honesty and freedom. No more hiding or suppressing desires. She took my hands in hers, looking deeply into my eyes. I think this could make a stronger bond, more honest with each other, more secure in what we have. Inside, I was crumbling. This went against everything I believed about relationships. I was raised with traditional values about commitment and exclusivity, but the fear of losing her overwhelmed my principles. Are you unhappy with me? I managed to ask. No, she insisted. This is not about being unhappy. It is about exploring all life has to offer while still having our solid foundation. After hours of discussion, I reluctantly agreed. I told myself it was progressive, mature. In reality, I was just terrified of losing her. I did not realize then that I had already lost her long before this conversation. The next day, Amanda established the ground rules for our new arrangement. We would be honest about any encounters we had. No emotional attachments were allowed. We would check in regularly about our feelings. And most importantly, we each had veto power, if either of us became uncomfortable with a specific person. The rules seemed fair on the surface, but I soon noticed something odd. Amanda seemed immediately happier, more vibrant. She started dressing differently, paying more attention to her appearance. When I asked if she already had someone in mind, she was vague, saying she was just enjoying the freedom. One night, while Amanda was showering, a notification lit up her phone on the coffee table. I had never been the type to snoop, but something compelled me to look. It was a message from someone named Mark. "Can't wait to see you again tomorrow." Our usual spot. With shaking hands, I opened the conversation and scrolled up. The messages went back months, predating our open relationship discussion. There were intimate exchanges, plans to meet, and complaints about having to be discreet. My suspicions were confirmed. Amanda had proposed an open relationship not as an exploration, but as permission to continue an affair that had already begun. The knowledge ate at me. I lost sleep, imagining Amanda with this Mark person. My appetite vanished. At work, I could not focus, making costly mistakes that earned me warnings from my supervisor. Yet I said nothing to Amanda, paralyzed by a mixture of shame and fear. As the weeks passed, I sank deeper into depression. Amanda continued her outings now, without even the pretense of it being girls' night. She would simply say she was going out and return late. Meanwhile, I had not acted on our supposed open relationship at all. The thought of being with anyone else felt wrong. Then came the night that changed everything. Needing to clear my head, I went to a small bar across town somewhere. Amanda and her friends never frequented. I was on my second whiskey when someone slid onto the bar stool beside me. "Of all the gin joints in all the towns, in all the world," said a familiar voice. I looked up to see Jessica. She was alone, dressed simply in jeans and a blue sweater that brought out her eyes. "Drowning your sorrows?" she asked, ordering a drink for herself. I managed a weak smile. "Something like that." "Amanda told me about your new arrangement," Jessica said after a moment of silence. "How is that working out for you?" The genuine concern in her voice broke something in me. Before I knew it, I was telling her everything. My suspicions, my discovery of the messages, my growing certainty that Amanda had manipulated me. Jessica listened without interruption, her expression growing increasingly troubled. When I finished, she sighed deeply. "I was afraid of this," she said. "There is something you should know." With obvious reluctance, Jessica revealed what she knew. Mark was Amanda's co-worker at the marketing firm. Their affair had begun at a company retreat 3 months ago. Jessica had suspected something but only recently confirmed it when she saw them together at a restaurant across town. "I have been struggling with whether to tell you," Jessica admitted, pulling out her phone. "But you deserve to know the truth." She showed me photos she had taken of Amanda and Mark together at various locations over the past months, all predating our open relationship talk. There they were holding hands, kissing, looking for all the world like a couple in love. My world shattered completely. The betrayal was worse than I had imagined. Not only had Amanda been cheating, but she had orchestrated an entire deception to continue it with my blessing. The humiliation was overwhelming. Jessica stayed with me as I ordered drink after drink, trying to numb the pain. She matched me shot for shot, sharing her own stories of betrayal and heartbreak. As the night wore on, the bar grew emptier, our conversation more intimate. I never understood what she saw in him anyway. Jessica said, her words slightly slurred. "You are twice the man Mark is." I looked at her, really looked at her perhaps for the first time. In that moment, with the alcohol lowering our inhibitions and mutual pain creating a bond, something shifted between us. It was nearly 2 a.m. when the bartender finally kicked us out. The cool night air did little to clear my head. Jessica lived just a few blocks away, and I walked her home, both of us leaning on each other for support. At her door, there was a moment of hesitation. She invited me in for coffee, though we both knew coffee was the last thing on our minds. Inside her apartment, our mutual vulnerability and shared hurt created an atmosphere of dangerous intimacy. "I have always wondered," Jessica said softly, standing close to me, "what it would be like." What would be like?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. Being with you. Her confession hung in the air between us. She admitted she had always been attracted to me, but respected the boundaries of my relationship with Amanda. Now, with those boundaries redrawn, and the revelation of Amanda's betrayal, those reasons seemed hollow. I would like to say I thought carefully about what happened next, that I considered all the potential consequences. The truth is, in that moment of shared pain and unexpected connection, thinking was the last thing on my mind. Jessica's touch was gentle understanding, nothing like the increasingly mechanical intimacy with Amanda in recent months. What followed was impulsive, driven by a mixture of desire, revenge, and genuine attraction that had been suppressed for years. With every touch, every kiss, I felt a perverse satisfaction, knowing that I was finally taking Amanda up on her open relationship offer, and with the person who would hurt her the most. Morning came with the expected regrets and second thoughts. Jessica and I sat at her kitchen table, coffee mugs between us, the air heavy with unspoken questions. "What happens now?" Jessica finally asked. I considered lying, pretending it had been a mistake, a drunken error in judgment. But I was tired of lies and half-truths. "Now we are honest," I said simply, "about everything." We agreed that what happened between us was not just about revenge. There had always been an attraction, a connection we had both denied out of respect for Amanda. But we also acknowledged the complicated circumstances and agreed to proceed carefully. Most importantly, we decided not to hide what had happened. Amanda had demanded honesty in our open relationship, and she would get it. I would tell her about Jessica, and I would confront her about Mark. I returned home late that morning to find Amanda in the kitchen making breakfast as if nothing in our lives was amiss. "Where were you?" she asked, a hint of accusation in her tone that struck me as incredibly hypocritical. "I was worried." "I was with Jessica," I replied calmly, watching her face. "All night." Amanda froze spatula in midair. "What do you mean with Jessica?" "I mean I slept with Jessica last night." "Is that not what an open relationship is about?" The color drained from her face, replaced by a flush of anger. "You slept with my best friend. How could you do that to me?" The hypocrisy was breathtaking. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Interesting reaction from someone who has been sleeping with her coworker for months. Now, it was her turn to freeze. "What are you talking about, Mark?" I said simply. "Your affair started long before you proposed. This open relationship charade did not it." Amanda's face went through a series of expressions: shock, denial, anger, and finally defiance. "You went through my phone," she demanded, immediately going on the offensive. "Does it matter how I know? The point is, you have been lying to me. This whole open relationship idea was just a cover for your affair." What followed was one of the ugliest arguments of my life. Amanda's rage was all-consuming. She threw the spatula, then a coffee mug, narrowly missing my head. She called me every name imaginable, accusing me of betraying her trust by sleeping with her best friend. Through it all, I remained surprisingly calm. Each hysterical accusation only confirmed what I now knew. Amanda had never expected me to actually sleep with anyone else. The open relationship was solely for her benefit, a way to cheat with permission while keeping me on the hook. When I pointed this out, her arguments shifted. Suddenly, Mark was just physical, nothing serious. She had been feeling trapped and needed space to explore. When those justifications fell flat, she resorted to blaming me, claiming I had not been exciting enough or attentive enough. Throughout her meltdown, her phone was buzzing constantly. Jessica had told her side of the story too, sending Amanda a long message about her deception with Mark and how it had hurt me. Amanda tried calling Jessica repeatedly, each call going straight to voicemail. Her panic grew as she realized she was losing control of the narrative. Her best friend and her boyfriend were now united against her with evidence of her deception. By that evening, mutual friends were messaging both of us, having heard conflicting versions of the story. Amanda had immediately taken to social media, posting vague but pointed comments about betrayal and backstabbing friends. She was trying to paint herself as the victim, me as the villain, and Jessica as the treacherous friend. But Jessica had evidence Amanda could not dispute, including the time-stamped photos of Amanda with Mark that predated our open relationship discussion. Slowly but surely, the truth was emerging among our social circle. In the days that followed, I made a strategic decision to reclaim control of my life. While Amanda was spiraling into increasingly dramatic public displays, I remained calm and methodical. First, I waited until Amanda was at work to move my essential belongings out of our shared apartment. I did not take everything, just what I needed and what was undisputedly mine. I left a note explaining I would coordinate about the rest of our shared possessions later. My friend Tyler offered his spare room until I could find a new place. I was grateful for the support, especially when other friends began taking sides in what Amanda was characterizing as a scandalous betrayal rather than the consequences of her own actions. Next, I focused on financial damage control. I removed Amanda from my credit card as an authorized user. I changed the passwords on all my accounts. I documented the status of all shared expenses and assets, preparing for the inevitable disagreements about who owed what. Throughout this process, Jessica was a steady source of support. We did not rush into defining our relationship, both aware of the complicated circumstances of its beginning. Instead, we focused on friendship and healing, giving each other space while remaining in regular contact. Amanda's response to my calculated withdrawal was anything but measured. When she realized I had moved out, she showed up at Tyler's apartment at midnight, pounding on the door and screaming accusations. Tyler's neighbors called the police, who escorted Amanda away with a warning. Undeterred, she began showing up at my workplace. The first time it happened, she created such a scene in the lobby that security had to remove her. My boss, thankfully understanding after I explained the situation, arranged for temporary access through a side entrance. The text messages were relentless. They ranged from tearful apologies to vicious attacks, often within the same hour. She would beg me to come back, then immediately accuse me of ruining her life. When I did not respond, she would escalate, threatening to tell lies about me, to our friends, my family, even my employers. True to her word, Amanda launched a campaign to turn our friends against me and Jessica. She spread stories about Jessica having pursued me for months, painting herself as the victim of a long-planned betrayal. Some friends believed her, particularly those who only knew her version. The situation reached a breaking point when I returned to Tyler's apartment one evening to find my car's windshield smashed. A neighbor's security camera had captured Amanda in the act. With the video evidence and the pattern of escalating behavior, I made the difficult decision to seek a restraining order. The court date was set for the following week. In the meantime, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into work, finding that the creative marketing projects I had once found challenging were now welcome distractions. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my relationship with Amanda. I even started seeing a therapist, recognizing that I needed help processing the betrayal and its aftermath. Through therapy, I began to recognize unhealthy patterns in my relationship with Amanda that I had overlooked. The subtle put-downs. The way she would make me feel guilty for spending time with friends. How she would twist arguments to make me apologize even when she was wrong. The relationship had been unbalanced for much longer than I had realized. The day of the court hearing arrived. I was nervous but prepared with documented evidence of Amanda's harassment and the police reports from her various outbursts. Jessica came with me for moral support, sitting quietly in the back of the courtroom. When Amanda saw us enter together, something in her snapped. She began screaming accusations, ignoring the judge's orders for silence. Her behavior in court only strengthened my case. The judge granted the restraining order, requiring Amanda to stay at least 500 feet away from me, my residence, and my workplace. As we left the courthouse, I felt an immense weight lift from my shoulders. The legal protection could not erase the pain of betrayal, but it gave me the space I needed to heal and move forward. With distance, came clarity. I realized I had ignored red flags for years, making excuses for Amanda's behavior out of love or perhaps fear of being alone. I had compromised my values and boundaries to keep her happy, losing pieces of myself in the process. Meanwhile, my friendship with Jessica was evolving into something deeper, built on a foundation of mutual respect and honesty. We took things slowly, both aware of our complicated beginning. Unlike my relationship with Amanda, which had been built on what I now recognized as shaky ground, Jessica and I communicated openly about our fears, expectations, and boundaries. The restraining order largely worked. Amanda's direct harassment stopped, though she occasionally found ways to make her presence known indirectly, like having mutual friends relay messages or showing up at places she knew. I frequented carefully, staying just beyond the 500-foot limit. But with each passing week, her power over my emotions diminished. I was building a new life, one that felt more authentic and balanced than what I had with her. The pain was still there, but it was no longer debilitating. 6 months passed. Spring turned to summer, bringing warm days and new beginnings. I had secured a promotion at work, channeling the energy I once spent worrying about Amanda into creative projects that caught my supervisor's attention. I had moved into my own apartment, a small but sunny place that felt entirely mine. My relationship with Jessica had grown stronger with time. We had weathered the complicated circumstances of our beginning and the social fallout of Amanda's campaigns against us. Those friends who mattered most had seen through the drama to the truth, and we had built a smaller but more genuine social circle. We approached our relationship with intention and care. Jessica was different from Amanda, in ways I grew to appreciate more each day. Where Amanda had been charismatic, but ultimately self-centered, Jessica was thoughtful and genuinely interested in others. She challenged me intellectually and supported me emotionally without trying to control or change me. We had decided early on to be completely transparent about the complexities of how we got together. We did not romanticize or justify the circumstances. Instead, we acknowledged them as part of our story, while focusing on building something healthier moving forward. The true test came unexpectedly on a Saturday afternoon. Jessica and I were having lunch at a new restaurant downtown when I saw Amanda enter with a man I did not recognize. She saw us immediately, her eyes widening in surprise before narrowing slightly. After a moment's hesitation, she approached our table, her new companion hanging back uncertainly. "Bond," she said, her voice softer than I remembered. "Jessica, how are you both?" I felt Jessica tense beside me, but was surprised by my own calm. "We are good, Amanda. How are you?" "I am doing okay," she replied, glancing back at the man, waiting for her. "That is David. We have been seeing each other for a couple months now." There was an awkward pause before she continued. "I wanted to say I am sorry for how I behaved. After everything calmed down, I realized how wrong I was. Not just about the open relationship thing, but about how I treated you for a long time before that." I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or insincerity. Instead, I saw what appeared to be genuine regret. The Amanda standing before me seemed smaller, somehow less certain than the woman who had once dominated my life. "Thank you for saying that," I responded, finding I could speak without anger or bitterness. "I hope things work out for you." She nodded, looking between Jessica and me. "You two seem good together. I always thought you would be." With that surprising admission, she rejoined her date. As they were seated across the restaurant, Jessica squeezed my hand. "Are you okay?" I realized with some surprise that I truly was. "Yeah, I actually am." The encounter confirmed what I had begun to suspect in recent months. The pain of Amanda's betrayal had transformed into something else entirely. Not forgiveness exactly, but a kind of indifference. She no longer had power over my emotions or my future. That evening, Jessica and I talked about what had happened and the journey of the past 6 months. We reflected on the painful lessons we had both learned about relationships, boundaries, and self-respect. I had come to understand that genuine love does not require sacrificing your values or identity. It does not demand blind trust without accountability. Real connection is built on mutual respect, honesty, and the freedom to be your authentic self. The relationship with Amanda, painful as it was, had taught me to recognize manipulation and stand firm in my worth. It had shown me the liberation that comes from walking away from toxicity, even when it is dressed as love. Most unexpectedly, that difficult chapter had led me to a healthier, more authentic connection with Jessica. Our beginning may have been complicated, but we had built something valuable from the wreckage of betrayal. Life rarely follows the path we expect. Sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the greatest growth. Sometimes betrayal opens the door to something better than what was lost. What about you? Have you ever had a relationship that seemed like a disaster at the time but ultimately led you to something better? Drop a comment below and share your experience. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who might need to hear that sometimes the worst betrayals can lead to unexpected blessings. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, the right person will never ask you to compromise your self-respect, and sometimes the end of one chapter is just the beginning of a better one.